Hi, I'm Megan.
I'm Colin, and this is Pet Sitter Confessional,
an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter.
Brought to you by Time to Pet and Pet Perennials. Building relationships with our pets and helping our clients have a better relationship with their pets is a goal that many of us strive for, and it's something that has grown increasingly important through COVID, as many people brought on COVID puppies, and separation anxiety became a very big and very real problem in the industry. So we're really excited to have Cherie Marquez, the dog mystic from Dog Mystic Academy, on to talk about how to help our clients bond better with their pets and steps we can all take to help lessen separation anxiety in our clients. Let's get started.
So my name is Cherie Marquez. I am the dog mystic, and I am living my dream. I've always wanted to do something with animals, and now I'm working with the dogs. It's great. It's rewarding and beautiful, and my mission is just to keep dogs in their forever home, one dog at a time.
Yeah. Well, that's such a beautiful mission. So tell us a little bit more about that mission and the role that pet sitters can play in that.
Unfortunately, I've been dog training for 20 years, and there's just plenty of owners that, rescuing is beautiful. It's great. Or even if you purchase a dog, if you don't do the research on what is a good fit for your family, sometimes it can be overwhelming on if you get the wrong breed for your family. So if there's been so many times where people have called me at their wit's end of like, either you're going to help me or I'm going to give this dog away. So that's where I come in, and that's where pet sitters and dog trainers are here to keep the peace in the home, to exercise the dogs, and just teach the people exactly what to do to gain the control in a loving but firm way. So, but it is important just to do a little bit of research on the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different breeds that there are, just to get an idea. Because if you're going to a rescue, then of course you have they're mutts. They're not designer breeds. They're mutts, and they're extremely intelligent. But you can kind of see like what kind of breeds they're mixed with, So I think that's very important.
Yeah. Well, and especially in the year 2020, I think many pet sitters are experiencing this boom of COVID puppies and of pandemic puppies, and where owners rushed out, adopted dogs, cleared out local shelters, which is awesome, and are now sitting there going, okay, now what do I do? What do I do with this dog? What are some things that as pet sitters we can do? If maybe we don't have a specific trainer background, but what are some things that we can do to help those kind of clients who are sitting there maybe a little bit with their head barely above water with the dog that they have?
Well, the really important thing is to allow some alone time with the dogs, because when it's great that if people are home because of the quarantine and they're home with the dogs, it's good that they're together, but they need like 2 hours of alone time so that dog is not following every person or like one specific person throughout the house, throughout the whole entire day. Because that's where the anxiety, like separation anxiety, is on the rise, because everybody, like, there's so many people that are home more, and the whole entire family. And separation anxiety is the hardest thing to solve, because with the anxiety, when the people leave the house, the dog is just not used to it. And especially a puppy. They're like, all dogs are creatures of habit. But I mean, like if you get a puppy, then that's what they're used to. That's what their habitual daily routine is, always somebody home.
Right.
So once they leave the house for a couple hours, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm left alone. What am I going to do? So confinements are not a bad thing. I mean, like, if people are totally against a crate, then you can use a playpen. So a doggy playpen has the bottom open, so you can kind of like separate, like, if you have a potty patch or pee pee pads or toys and no stuffed animals, because the stuffing that's inside the stuffed animals, if they swallow it, they can choke. So I mean, like, a crate or confinement is safe for the dog, and it saves your furniture or your shoes, so they're not chewing on everything, and the baseboards too. So I mean, like, the separation anxiety can definitely cause damage to the animal, to the dog's mouth, or cause damage to the body. So I mean, like, if all pet sitters can tell the owners to allow 2 hours of alone time in another room. It all depends on the living situation. If it's just like a studio, condo or apartment, then they put them in a confinement, but like behind a couch. So they can't see, kind of like, they can't see everything that's going on. They can hear the people, like, the family is home, but they're separated, and they're not following their every move, just to keep them calm and put music on and give them like a Kong toy. So it's a sphere-shaped toy with a big hole on the bottom and a small hole on the top. Put a peanut butter. It's a little bit of peanut butter on the top of the toy. So they smell the peanut butter, but they got to work to get it out.
Yeah.
So deer antlers are really good too. So anything to keep them busy and just being used to, like, separated for a little bit is really, really important. That's always a good start, whether it's with a puppy or a rescue dog or even an older dog.
Right.
So it doesn't matter the age.
Well, and I know sometimes it can be hard to convince a client that it's okay to separate the dog, that it's okay to put them in some sort of confinement area or separated area, because they view that as being, quote, cruel or unkind to the dog.
It's not fair.
It's not,
but
not
it
fair.
is.
Yeah, right. They're away from the family or whatever. But it's trying to explain to them, like, this is building these good routines, this good balance in the dog's life, so that they can self-regulate when you're not there, and that you are doing it for their safety in a lot of cases too.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they have to get used to it, because once people are able to go back to work, that is a huge, huge transition. And the dogs are not going to know what to do, because it's
right.
Like, wait, everybody was with me forever and for hours and hours and hours, and then everybody's gone for 8 hours or 4 hours, 8 hours, however long. And that's where the pet sitting is perfect, or the pet sitting and dog walking and everything is perfect, because you're helping the situation, but it's not a negative thing. It's just like a nap time for a baby. They need that nap time. If they don't get it, then they're going to be cranky and not pleasant to be around. So it's the same thing with a dog or a puppy.
Right. It's a good illustration to remind us, this is useful. You mentioned you have been a dog in the dog training world for 20 years now. How did you get started?
I live in Southeast Florida right now, and I'm originally from New Jersey, but I transferred down to Florida Atlantic University as a marine biology major. But the science courses had nothing to do, all the science courses had nothing to do with animal behavior and the psychology and everything. It was all these science courses that had nothing to do with it. And I wasn't book smart. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I need physics and chemistry and biochemistry and everything like that? So I switched to elementary education. And then when I graduated, I didn't want to be a teacher at that moment. And I went into outside sales, commission-based only. So it was great. It was a great experience of like learning sales in that capacity. And then I saw an ad in the newspaper, not on the internet, in the newspaper for to be either a dog trainer or to do the sales of the dog training like programs. So of course they wanted to hire me for the sales, but I'm like, no, look at my background. I have an education background. This is my dream. This is what I want to do. So I started working for this company. They trained me, and then 9/11 hit, and people didn't want to splurge on dog training at that moment. So I got my teaching certification, got all that taken care of, and then I was went into teaching. I also got my my Montessori early elementary certification, and I was a teacher for 5 years. And then, but I was doing the dog training in between, like on nights and on weekends. And then I wasn't feeling it. I was just like, no, my dream is to work with animals. So I felt the fear, but I did it anyway. And I resigned from teaching. And I, started. At first I had to do some side jobs and some side hustling and stuff. But I am so grateful and blessed that I have not had to work for anybody else since 2007. And I've been living my dream ever since. So now I have my own dog training company, and I want to teach worldwide, virtually, online, through some virtual online courses. So
yeah, no, that's really awesome. I love hearing that and seeing how at each step it was just a little bit closer, but ultimately you had to take that big leap back then and go, okay, like this is scary. I'm still going to do it though. And you haven't regretted, obviously, because you're still here and you're still, you got all these awesome plans to grow and move forward. And that's really cool.
Thank you. The pet industry is just amazing. First off, it's rewarding, but people love their animals.
Right.
So we're in the right industry, because, there's plenty of people that will do more for their animals than themselves sometimes. And, it's important to take care of yourself and your animals.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Dan from NYC Pooch has this to say.
Time to Pet has been a total game changer for us. It's helped us streamline many aspects of our operation, from scheduling and communication to billing and customer management. We actually tested other pet sitting softwares in the past, but these other solutions were clunky and riddled with problems. Everything in Time to Pet has been so well thought out. It's intuitive, feature-rich, and it's always improving.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Our listeners can save 50% off their first 3 months by going to timetopet.com/confessional. And I know one of the things that you work on and you like to talk about is the importance of, and your role basically as the trainer is to come in and help pet parents deepen their relationship with their pet. How do you accomplish that, and how do you go about building and deepening that connection between the pet and its owner?
Well, right now, just in this world that we're living in with all the technology, we need to allow the dogs to bring us back into the present moment. Like our monkey minds just take over, and we're either worrying about the past or thinking about the future. But the exercises that I give is more or less just to deepen that bond and to bring us into the present moment. Best and easiest thing to do is shut off your phones, sit down on the floor or on the bed if your dogs are allowed on the bed. And if you have multiple dogs, then do it one at a time. So each dog is getting their own one-on-one like attention, because I know right now I have 2 dogs and 2 females. So when they're both by me, then one is pawing at me, the other one is like, nudging me. It's like, so they both want the attention. So you separate them and one at a time, more or less, just like if you're let's just say you're sitting on the floor, okay? Yeah. Sit on the floor, close the door for all the other animals, and first take a few deep breaths. Just to ground yourself and really, truly be in that moment. Start petting your dog and watching their breath. If you're able to, just start breathing with them and just kind of like watching their body and just kind of blending into the relaxation of each other, and so you're petting, and there's proven statistics that it lowers your heart rate, and it lowers the stress just to pet your dog. So you're kind of grounding yourself into the moment. And then if your dog is not fearful to get a massage, then start massaging the dogs. If you rub the ears, there's a lot of nerve endings in the ears, and it calms them down. So you can just start from the ear, and then from down, and start massaging the neck. And if your dog is fearful, if a rescue and you're not sure, and possibly have been abused in the past, then just keep petting. Just keep petting the dog and just enjoy that moment, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's really being present in that moment. So and enjoy it, and allow yourself to just deepen that bond. Now, another thing that you can do just to end it and just show the love even more is, once you're done and you feel that it's enough time, then just give your dog a nice big hug and just show the love.
Right. Well, and the first step that you said about that whole process was to come in and take some big deep breaths and make sure that we ourselves are grounded. So how does our energy that we bring into those situations that we carry through our day, how does that impact the pets that we're caring for?
Well, all dogs have sixth sense. They know exactly what's going on. And I just learned that a dog's senses are 100,000 times stronger than ours. So they know, for example, when someone knocks on your door and you open that front door, that dog knows whether that person is a good person or a bad person, negative energy, the second that you open up that door. So anything that you're feeling and any kind of stress or anxiety or just not being in the present moment, they know it, they feel it, they know exactly what's going on. So so that's where it's important to calm yourself down. It's also a good way to de-stress, because you're not thinking about what happened during the day. You're just taking that time of like, this is our time.
Right.
Just chill.
So that process of going, of really taking a moment to step back, it can be challenging, especially if you're going from drop in to drop in, or from walk to walk to walk to walk to walk throughout the day, to bring your frustrations, bring maybe this negative energy in to each subsequent stay or each subsequent walk that you're going to. So it's really good reminder to, before you open that door, to just, or sit in your car for just a few minutes, just to go through a quick breathing routine, to leave what happened behind you, to leave that there, and then to go in fresh, because whatever happened at the last sit, that's not to be brought in to the dog that you're taking care of, because they're going to feel that, and that's going to throw off that entire stay possibly.
Yeah, I mean, that's our mobile office. That's the perfect time to regroup and do those breathing techniques of just okay, I'm ready. I'm in another household, another situation, another dog. So you regroup in your mobile office first, and then think of that as like a reset. So you're grounding yourself. You're releasing what happened at the last house, and then as soon as you open up that car door, it's just like, all right, done. Done, and a new start.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you have a process that you personally like to work through in those kind of situations of acknowledging and then releasing that, so that you can be fresh for the next visit or the next client that you're doing a training visit on?
I find just driving is definitely a good, because I'm focused on the road, but it's just taking me away from, for example, if I was just working with an aggressive dog, and there's certain situations where, because working with aggressive dogs, you have to portray that you're totally calm, even though your heart is racing and you're like, oh my gosh, you have to just be like, yeah, I'm not afraid of you. Let's go,
Yeah.
Bring it on. So as long as you take on that calm, assertive energy on the outside, once you leave that house, and once I leave that house and I'm driving, then it's kind of like, all right, that's done. I solved that situation. Let me put some music on and, get into a different zone. Like, yeah, all right. call the next appointment, and for the pet sitters, it's more or less just like, all right, that's done and over with. Put some music on and go to the next. So good reset.
Yeah, no, it is the biggest, one of the biggest parts of that is just mentally cutting it off and going, okay, that's over and done with, and I just have to leave it there. Whether you call that compartmentalizing, or whether you call that leaving and cleaving, or however you want to mentally structure that for you. When you do that at each time, it's going to make each visit a little bit better, right? And because you're staying in there fresh, you're more mentally present. You're there with that dog instead of still thinking back to the dog 3 dogs ago that you were there, and you're more present, and you're more attuned with that dog that you're taking care of.
It's important because another good example is the dogs that are like when you're observing dogs in a dog park. there can be the energy in the dog park. It can be nice and calm. And then all of a sudden, a really hyper puppy or hyper dog gets to the fence, and then it just sets off the whole entire calmness.
Yeah.
So it's the same exact thing. I mean, like, you got to, like, but I mean, like, the main thing that everybody should really realize is a dog's mind and a child's mind or a person's mind are almost exactly the same. They can pick up on the energies, but if they know they can get away with something, they're going to push it for everything that they can, no matter what. So if a person is showing any fear and you're dealing with a dominant dog, then it's more or less that dominant dog is going to be like, yeah, all right, cool. You're fearful, so let me just keep on picking, and, or like, play biting, or, just instigating the situation because they know they can feel the person's energies. So it's important just to stay as calm as possible.
Which can be hard sometimes when you have those more aggressive or those more hyper dogs, right? It is hard to remind yourself or to be present in the moment and to remain calm. But that just that takes practice, and that takes presence of mind and in the moment processing of what's happening before you. And it just does take some time to get to that point. 20 years in the training industry and working with dogs, how would you describe yourself as a dog trainer? A particular philosophy or mentality or a structure of training?
My training is, I don't train with treats, because if you give the dog a treat for every single thing that they do, they're going to expect it. And then if you don't have a treat, they're going to look at you like, yeah, right, I'm not going to do that. For an extremely fearful dog, treats are okay in the beginning, because then, you're showing that dog that they're, that you're not going to hurt them.
Right.
So that's okay for fearful dogs. But I mean, like, on a regular training aspect, it's not giving them treats. And I mean, like, it's especially with the bigger dogs, then you gotta be walking around with a bag full of treats and, handing them treats for every single thing that they do. So, so then, it's just being firm and then being loving, like giving them lots of love and, yeah, you did it right. Once they accomplish whatever you want them to do. Right.
And it really sounds too, of just listening to how you're describing the paying attention to the energies and observing the dog, like the real importance there of really working on that communication, but both ways with them, really being attuned with them, being present with them. And it sounds like something that you work hard on to work on energy levels and to really be reading the dog and its body language. What are some basics of dog body language then that we can all or should all know when we're working with them?
Well, everybody thinks that when a dog is just wagging their tail that they're happy and excited to see you, but you can't go by only the tail wagging. If the tail is wagging and the mouth is relaxed and like open and the tongue is out and like almost a smiling look, yeah, that's relaxed. But when the tail is wagging and the body is firm, then like a firm body with the muscles tense and the ears kind of back, that's not like a calm way, like, a calm demeanor of the dog. So if there's any tension, then you have to look at the body and like the muscles of the body of how the dog is standing, whether it's standing with dominance or like, yeah, like, or the wiggle butt. And then it's also tension in the body, but then it's also the way that they're looking. So I mean, like, if if they have a look of like grilling you, like, like, what are you doing? You know, then you're like, it's kind of unsure of what that dog is thinking.
Right.
And then of course, fearful is like, oh my gosh. So, so you go with the body language, but then you also, the way that you greet the dogs are extremely important, because people automatically, there's so many people that want to just like walk up to the dog and start petting them on the head and like, hey, oh my gosh. But it doesn't matter the size of the dog. It's intimidating. Even a child's little hand going on top of the head is intimidating. And it's almost like an automatic response that people just respond to pet the head. Yeah. But the safest way, so your hand and your arm is not going to get bit here because of especially if you don't know a dog, then don't go and pet the dog on the head. Right. Because you don't know if that dog has been rescued and abused, or you don't know what the background is, so they can bite you in a split second. So you put your hand out for them to smell, and most of the time, if they like you and they feel your energy, then they'll smell your hand, give you a lick, like, all right, you're cool, and then pet from under, just like a cat. So you pet from under, and then you can kind of like from here, then go like, hey, cool, and they get all excited. So pet from under, just like a cat.
Those first impressions and those first few moments of interaction, first few split seconds of interaction that you have with a new dog can really make or break the rest of that relationship, and can be hard to recover from a bad introduction sometimes. And it is, you're right, it is first instinct to come up. And I mean, still after 9 years of doing this, it's still, I have to almost remind myself every time. It's like, don't pet on top of the head. Just relax, just breathe a little bit, let them approach you, and like coach myself through that process. Cause it's just like, ooh, puppy, pet all over the place. But knowing like not every dog's okay with that. And that needs to be okay. And, and kind of reining yourself back in and going, okay, we're going to treat every dog the same initially. And just, again, because it's a safety thing. It's also building that relationship and meeting them where they are, because then you know how to work with them. If you assume, every dog is this big, boisterous, you can bear hug them from the very beginning, that's going to put you in a bad position.
And sometimes it's extremely hard because these dogs are absolutely beautiful and absolutely adorable. It's like, oh, how cute, And so it's hard to not overreact.
Right. It is. And so, part of that training and part of that behavior modification, we have to apply to ourselves first in a lot of instances. And which is why that importance of being grounded and recentering ourselves and monitoring our energy levels is so important, because if we are unchecked when we go to do that meet and greet, we may miss a few of those signs, or we may misread something the dog is trying to tell us.
Life happens. So, I mean, like, there's going to be crazy days where leaving one house and you get into an argument with your significant other, let's say. And so you're arguing the whole entire time on the way to another appointment, and you get to that appointment and you're like, like you're just so frustrated. So that's where, like, you don't want to be like, oh my God, I'm late. Great. Hang up the phone and run there. Like, there's no way of regrouping. So it's more or less just like you're on the way, or like, you're in that zone. And all right, I just got to another appointment. I gotta go, and like, yeah, whatever. You just hang up the phone, pull the person up. I mean, like, I'm in my situation for the dog training, then it's calling the person up for the pet sitting. It kind of like, I guess it alters the time frame of everything, but still take that 2 to 3 minutes of just like regrouping, breathing, and just like, all right, it's done. Like, the drama's over. Let me regroup. I'm going to see some cute little puppies, and That's the beautiful thing about animals. I mean, like, they will show you as much love as possible. And even if they talk back because they're barking or they bark back at you, I mean, they're just there to show you love. They're angels put on this earth just to give you as much love as possible. So enjoy that moment. Enjoy the beauty that they show us every day.
It is a reminder to really enjoy those moments of, no matter how stressed or how busy you are or how angry you are about something else, like those moments are so precious and aren't to be taken for granted, because a lot of people don't get to have that, and you get to have it multiple times a day with the pets that you're caring.
Absolutely. It's so true.
Pet Perennials makes it easy as 1, 2, 3 to send a heartfelt condolence gift directly to someone with a broken heart. They have this awesome direct-to-client gift service that takes the effort off of us and ensures a thoughtful, personalized sympathy gift reaches our client or employee. All gift packages include a handwritten card, colorful gift wrap, and shipping fees across the U.S. and Canada. Throughout the rest of 2021, they'll be releasing an array of milestone gift and greeting cards that can be sent to celebrate birthdays, extend get well wishes, and to welcome new and even rescued pets. They also have a few gift options in case you need to send a sympathy gift in memory of a special human client. If you're interested, register for a free account to receive discounted package pricing rather than paying consumer prices. Since the service is leveraged on an as-need basis, there is no monthly or annual obligation or minimum purchase price. Learn more and register using petperennials.com/pages/GPS and enter the referral code PSC at registration to be given a unique coupon code to save $2 off any package that you send in your first 90 days. We've mentioned a couple times about dealing with high energy dogs or more aggressive dogs. And then we even talked a little bit about separation anxiety. And so I know a big topic in the pet care world is how you handle medications with the dogs, and at what stage medications would be necessary or required for especially dealing with separation anxiety. I was wanting to know kind of your view on the use of medications for handling things like separation anxiety or for behavioral purposes.
The training is more important than the medication. For example, like one of the programs that I have, and the one that I suggest for like severe separation anxiety is a boot camp where I actually take the dog stays at the facility for two weeks. So you're actually taking the dog out of the environment, putting them into it's a boarding daycare training facility. So they're socializing with other dogs. Some dogs are learning to be dogs, especially like, the pocket puppies that are being held at all times and not allowed to be a dog and walk around.
Yeah.
So it's allowing them to be a dog and playing with other dogs and socializing and desensitizing them from noises and, just the fear of whatever happened or the anxiety of not being with the owner. In severe separation or severe anxiety cases or fearful cases, the CBD oil has really been helping a lot of my clients. Instead of the puppy Xanax or any of the medication that it is given, I agree with, and I have seen some really positive effects with the CBD. So it's a safer route. It's grown in the earth and it's natural. So it's a good route to go, as well as the training.
It's these first steps that you want to try and steer towards instead of going immediately to the puppy Xanax or some of these heavy medications that can have some pretty serious side effects and consequences on the dog's body and liver as it's processing those. And so it's a reminder to kind of stair step yourself and work with your client into those kind of solutions.
definitely. And I mean, like, there's those thunder jackets, the music, and energy healing as well. I also do some energy healing and like some chakra clearing, some any energy work if people are open to that. Lessens anxiety. It helps with sleep. It lessens pain. So it has lots of beneficial, positive things for sure.
Yeah. Well, I know many people may be more familiar with that in people and in humans. So walk us through what that looks like, chakra clearing and that kind of process in dogs when you go and visit them for energy healing.
It's more or less the way that I do it is either in person or like I can do distance healings as well. So the distance can be like all around the world and it doesn't matter. So if I'm doing it with the owner and the dog, then I tell the owner to put the dog on the leash, and I just send a text to let them know that I'm starting, so they can just observe the dog. And most of the time, at first, the dog is kind of looking around, and then eventually they get tired, and they can actually see the relaxation in the body. And the healing that goes on is most of the time when we're born in alignment. Everything is in alignment, and as the dogs are growing up, things get out of whack. And whether there's any traumas or anything that's going on, just like just life happens. The traumas happen with us as well as the dogs. So it realigns the body into its perfect form, and then it lessens anxiety. It relaxes the body, and it's good for the overall well-being of the body.
Now, is that something that you found you had a natural ability for, or is that something you went for and got more training and had to learn more about?
I got training through, my teacher was in Arizona. So podcasts are great because I was listening to a podcast, and I heard, that my teacher is Renee Colston, and she lives in Arizona. As soon as I heard that and listened to her podcast, I think it was like 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to find her. And then I sent her an email and flew out. That was in November when I heard the podcast, and I flew out to do my certification in, I think it was like February. I was like, I have to do it. Absolutely have to do it. It was great. So that was since 2015. I guess it was more or less just finding different ways of calming the dogs without medication and helping as many animals and people as possible. That's my mission. So
right. Yeah.
Great.
No, it's like one of the, if you're always looking for new and better ways, right? And you've talked about a lot of them. You've talked about the importance of the training, right, and of these supplements instead of the heavy medications, of the healings that you can do, and even I know another thing that you talk about are the importance of things like routines and habits and structures in the dog's life. So how can pet sitters be involved in that part as well?
Well, it's telling the owners, because we're set in our ways and we have our own habits, and then the dogs are creatures of habit.
Right.
So if the owner is seeing that the anxiety is on the rise, then you can tell the owner to take care of the dog first. So before they start getting ready, let's say morning routine, and they know they have to go out. You wake up, do your thing, and then get the dog ready. So take the dog for a walk, and make sure that they go to the bathroom and do, just exercise and do some training, or like whatever they do to get the dog or dogs mentally stimulated, because the mental stimulation gets them more tired than just running around and playing and going out in the backyard. So take care of them first, and then before you start getting ready, then give the dog something to chew on, either a Kong toy or a deer antler. Put them in their confinement, or put them in another room. And when you start getting ready, then totally separate yourself from the dog. So you don't want to put them in the crate or confinement, while you're getting ready. Then close the bedroom door, get ready, and then they're not at the bathroom door and watching your every move. When they're watching your every move, that's when the anxiety is building and building and building and building. So by the time that the person puts their shoes on, grabs the keys, and walks out the door, their anxiety is through the roof, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, they're really leaving now." No. So, and another thing is don't make a big deal when you're leaving the house. Mm-hmm. The bigger goodbye that you make when you're walking out, of "Bye, I love you, I'll be back, be a good girl, be a good boy," like, the more of a big deal that you make, then the anxiety is building. Or let's just like, get ready, get your stuff, put your shoes on, walk out, out the door. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Because your greeting and the excitement is for when you get home instead of when you're leaving the house. Right. So.
Yeah, it is working with the clients to remind them of that process, right? To remind them of that, give them some tips, give them some pointers, have them talk to you about their morning routine or what they're doing that could be a problem that could be triggering the dog in these instances, and say, hey, maybe not spend 25 minutes saying goodbye and writing a love ballad to them and performing it, and then doing the light show and then coming back in the house for an encore, right? Maybe don't do that. Maybe just leave and say bye and be done with. But as you also mentioned, of the importance of treating it holistically for the dog, it's not just this physical need, it's this emotional need. It's also this mental stimulation that they're needing, and making sure that all of those needs are met by the dog to help alleviate the stress, that anxiety, and the separation anxiety that they're going through.
And that's where researching the breeds, because a terrier or a herding breed, Border Collie or Australian Shepherd or Rat Terrier, Jack Russell Terrier, they're high energy dogs. So they need extra stimulation, because if they're not getting stimulated enough, then they're going to get bored, and boredom can cause anxiety just as much as separation anxiety. So, they definitely need that mental stimulation,
Listeners are listening to this and they're going, sounds like there's a lot of information here, and I want to learn more. I want to learn more about energy healings. I want to learn more about the proper way to help my client walk them through separation anxiety and dealing with that in their pets. So I was curious what kind of resources or recommendations you would give for people to check out if they're wanting to learn more.
They can check out my website, which is thedogmystic.com. I'm a phone call away. I have blogs on lots of different topics. Dogwise.com has some good tips as well. But on my blogs page, I definitely have a lot of blogs with moving to a new home, don't get a dog too young, like less than 8 weeks old. Stressful on the dog. So there's definitely, I definitely have a lot of information, and then some more information on the courses that I that I have already.
Very good. And I'll have links to that and a few more things that we've talked about today in the show notes and on our website as well, so people can reach out to you, Cherie, and get in contact. So thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing with us about the importance of dealing with and tackling separation anxiety in dogs from a holistic approach, and for the myriad of resources that are out there to accomplish that. It's been a real pleasure, Cherie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was great. And happy dogs equal happy owners, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
In my conversation with Cherie, it was a reminder that bonding with pets is an action that we do, not just as pet sitters, but also as pet owners, and that we can come alongside the pet owners and equip them with knowledge, with tools, with routines, with instruction to help them bond better and more securely to have a lifetime relationship with their pet. Too often, many of us just assume that the relationship will come, that it will happen over time. But through Cherie's approach of problem solving, exercises, dealing with commands, all of those go into strengthen the bond that our clients have with their pets, and we get to be a part of that. And through that process of building the relationship and setting that strong foundation, that is the key to help dealing with separation anxiety in pets moving forward. Having a strong, healthy, not codependent bond between owner and pet. And for our end, that means communicating with clients, opening up and helping them be receptive to some correction or pointing out things that they could be doing to help alleviate some of those concerns that they have. And that when they do start on that journey, knowing that it is a stair-stepped approach. We don't immediately just jump to something. We work our way up and through little steps to see what's going to help and build from there. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Time to Pet and Pet Perennials, for bringing today's show to you. And we want to thank you so much for listening, for supporting us, for sharing episodes, and for giving feedback. You have no idea just how much all of that means to us. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. You can check us out on Facebook or Instagram at Pet Sitter Confessional, and at any time you can go back and listen to our back catalog by going to petsitterconfessional.com/episodes. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back again soon.